Hey beautiful, welcome back, or if this is your first time here, I'm so glad you decided to spend a little time with me today. Now before we dive into anything deep or sexy, let me just say this. If no one's told you this lately, you are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to feel confident. You are allowed to enjoy being noticed, not because you're desperate for attention, but because you're proud of who you are. That energy, that quiet confidence, that is magnetic. Today's topic is fun. It's playful. But it also taps into something that runs deeper than fashion or surface level attraction. We're talking about the 5 sexiest colors women wear that men simply can't resist. Now listen, before anyone rolls their eyes and says, seriously, colors, you're saying what I wear makes me more attractive to a man? Let me say this loud and clear. You are the main event. Not the color, not the dress, not the lipstick, you. But just like a great frame enhances a beautiful painting, the colors you choose to wear can amplify the energy you're already putting out into the world. They speak before you do. They stir something primal, something emotional, something deeply human. And what I love about this conversation is that it's not about changing yourself to fit anyone else's preference. It's about understanding the subtle psychology of attraction, how certain colors make you feel more confident, more alive, more radiant, and how that inner shift impacts the way others experience you. Because when a woman feels confident in what she's wearing, it shows. She walks differently. She holds her head higher. She's more present. And that's the kind of thing that stops a man in his tracks, not just because of the color, but because of the energy she's radiating through it. So whether you're someone who loves a bold statement or you prefer something more soft and subtle, this is going to give you insight, inspiration, and maybe even a little reminder of just how powerful you really are. We're going to break down 5 specific colors and what each one communicates to the male brain and heart. And we're doing it not through a lens of manipulation, but from a place of curiosity, self-awareness, and play. Let's talk about what these shades actually say about you, about your confidence, and about what makes a woman unforgettable to a man on a gut level. Ready? Let's start with the showstopper. The one that's practically synonymous with attraction. Red. Red is bold, it's unapologetic, it's impossible to ignore. And when a woman wears red, whether she realizes it or not, she's tapping into something primal in the male brain. This isn't just pop psychology. There have been multiple psychological studies that show men consistently rate women as more attractive when they're wearing red. Why? Because red stimulates the part of the brain associated with arousal, attention, and energy. Now, I want to be very clear, this has nothing to do with wearing something revealing. Red doesn't have to shout. It just knows its power. A red blouse, a crimson scarf, a burgundy dress that fits just right, even red lipstick. It doesn't have to be loud, it just has to feel intentional. When a woman wears red with confidence, it sends a message without her saying a word. I'm not hiding. But there's something even deeper going on here. You see, red doesn't just signal sexiness, it signals confidence. It says, I'm comfortable being seen. And that, in and of itself, is magnetic to men. It's not about looking perfect, it's about the energy behind the color. Red is often worn by women who are in touch with their own desire, not just for someone else, but for life. It's an energetic color. It belongs to the woman who's passionate, curious, and lit up by the world around her. That's the kind of energy that turns heads. That's the kind of woman people remember. Now let's take this a step further. You could wear the exact same red dress 2 different ways, once while feeling self-conscious and unsure, and once while feeling radiant and aligned with yourself. And guess what? The second version will always be more attractive. The color doesn't create the sex appeal. It amplifies the energy you already have. So if you're someone who's shy about wearing red, I'm not saying you need to go full scarlet gown tomorrow, but try something small. A red accessory, a red nail polish, a red lip, Try it on your own terms and see how it makes you feel, because here's the secret. A man may respond to red instinctively, but he stays interested because of how it makes you carry yourself. And maybe that's the most powerful part of all. Red reminds us that we don't need to shrink to be safe. We don't need to tone down to be accepted. Sometimes owning your presence is the most attractive thing you can do, because when you wear red and you feel good in it, you don't just look sexy, you radiate something deeper, and that is unforgettable. Now let's talk about one of the most quietly powerful shades in your wardrobe: black. While red may be the color of fire and heat, black is the color of intrigue. It doesn't yell to get your attention. It whispers. And what makes that whisper so seductive is the mystery it carries with it. Think about it. When a woman walks into a room wearing a perfectly fitted black outfit, whether it's a sleek dress, a tailored blazer, or just an all-black casual ensemble, there's this instant pause in the room. Not because she's demanding attention, but because there's something about her that feels undiscovered, something you want to know more about. Black carries an elegance that feels both elevated and grounded at the same time. It says, I don't need to impress you. I know who I am. And that level of self-possession, that's what draws men in. Now, here's what's fascinating. On a psychological level, black is associated with sophistication, intelligence, and emotional depth. It's the color of authority, yes, but also of control. Not control in a manipulative way, but in the sense of someone who is composed, centered, and not trying too hard. And that kind of energy is wildly attractive to a man who's looking for more than just eye candy. He's looking for a woman who carries herself like she knows what she brings to the table. Black also plays into one of the most powerful forces in human attraction: curiosity. When you see someone in red, they're putting themselves out there. It's bold and expressive. But black pulls you in. It doesn't give everything away. It suggests there's more beneath the surface, and that suggestion creates tension. The good kind, the kind that says, there's something about her I can't quite figure out. And that, my friend, is a recipe for irresistible intrigue. But here's the real power move with black. It puts the focus not on the clothes, but on you, your face, your energy, your posture, your presence. When worn well, black becomes the canvas that allows the rest of you to shine. And that's a beautiful thing. So if you ever feel the need to recenter, to reconnect with your confidence, your poise, your emotional strength, reach for black. Not because it hides you, but because it allows you to show up fully as you are without distraction. Because you don't need sparkle or drama to stand out. You just need to own your space. And when a man sees a woman who knows how to be still, composed, quietly confident, that kind of presence doesn't just attract him, it stays with him long after the night is over. Black is not about hiding, it's about revealing what matters most: your strength, your grace, your mystery. And that is undeniably sexy. Let's shift gears now, because this one might surprise you. When people think of sexy, they often imagine boldness, richness, intensity. But sometimes the most seductive thing in the world is what's soft, simple, and unexpected. And that's exactly what makes white so powerful. White has a quiet kind of magic. It's not screaming for attention, and that's what makes it irresistible. There's something about a woman wearing white that feels pure, elevated, and effortless. It's the color of openness, of light, of presence. And yet when worn with confidence, it becomes disarmingly sexy in a way that most people don't see coming. You see, white does something fascinating on a subconscious level. It suggests innocence, approachability, warmth. It's soft to the eye. It reflects light beautifully. It creates this aura, almost an invitation. When a woman wears white, especially with ease and presence, it doesn't say, look at me. It says, come closer. And for a man, that's an incredibly powerful pull. But here's where it gets even more interesting. White isn't just about softness, it's about contrast. And contrast is where real intrigue lives. Think about it. When a woman wears white, there's an assumption of sweetness, of calm. But if she carries herself with just a little confidence, a little mystery, a little fire underneath, that contrast is magnetic. It makes people wonder, is she as angelic as she looks, or is there more going on beneath the surface, that inner contradiction? Softness on the outside, strength or sensuality underneath is one of the most compelling forms of attraction. It sparks curiosity, it invites connection, and it draws someone in, not just physically, but emotionally. Now let's talk about what white does to you. When you wear white, you're making a subtle declaration. I'm not hiding anything. You're not using color to cloak or distract. You're allowing yourself to be seen clearly, unapologetically. And that openness, that transparency is incredibly rare, because in a world where so many people are performing, editing, covering up, someone who's willing to be real, to be seen in their truth, stands out without even trying. White is also refreshingly elegant. Think of a white blouse, crisp and fitted, or a flowing white dress on a summer day, or even a soft cream sweater that feels both cozy and chic. It's versatile, timeless, and incredibly feminine in the most grounded way. So don't underestimate this shade. Because while red might shout desire and black might whisper intrigue, white invites intimacy. And in a world where everyone's trying to impress, a woman who simply is, in her light, in her confidence, in her calm, is rare and unforgettable. White doesn't have to try to be sexy. It just has to be worn by a woman who feels at home in her skin. And that is the most attractive thing a man can feel. Now let's talk about a color that doesn't just get attention, it commands it. Emerald green. It's rich, it's luxurious. It's got this undeniable presence that whispers elegance, but with an edge. It's the kind of color that doesn't just say, look at me. It says, I know who I am. There's something quietly fearless about a woman in emerald green. She's not shouting. She's not overcompensating. She's anchored. She walks into a room and she owns her energy, not because she needs to prove something, but because she's in tune with her own value. Emerald green is captivating because it walks this delicate line between earthy and regal. It's grounded, natural, connected, full of depth, but it also has this royal quality to it. It's the kind of color that makes people take a second look, not just because it's beautiful, but because it's different. It's not the most common choice, and that's what makes it unforgettable. Now, let's break down what it communicates to the male brain. Psychologically, green is tied to balance, renewal, and vitality. It evokes the feeling of growth, strength, and emotional safety. It's soothing but not boring. It's inviting but not predictable. And emerald green in particular evokes a sense of opulence. It has a richness that mirrors inner richness. A woman who knows what she brings to the table emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. And let me tell you something, men notice that. They might not articulate it in words, but they feel it. They feel that this is the kind of woman who has depth, who has soul, who isn't here to play small. Emerald green also reflects beautifully on all skin tones. It brings out the eyes, it lights up the face, it gives you this inner glow that's subtly intoxicating. It's not screaming for attention, it's magnetizing it. But maybe the most powerful part, emerald green gives you permission to be seen in your wholeness, in your depth, in your richness. It's not about trying to be cute. It's not about trying to be sexy in a one-dimensional way. It's about stepping into the kind of femininity that's layered, intentional, powerful, and that kind of femininity, that turns heads. That makes a man think, who is she? Not just for what she's wearing, but for the energy she's carrying in it. When you wear emerald green, wear it like a queen. Not because you need a man to validate you, but because you've already validated yourself. Because the truth is, what makes emerald green sexy isn't the color itself. It's the way it holds space for a woman's confidence to breathe. It's the way it reflects a woman who's no longer waiting for permission to be powerful. And when a man sees that, he's not just drawn in, he's captivated. Now let's finish with a color that is often underestimated, but when worn right, is absolutely disarming in the most beautiful way. Soft pink. It's delicate, it's romantic, and it carries a kind of gentle energy that has the power to stop a man in his tracks, not because it's bold or aggressive, but because it touches something deeper, something tender, something real. You see, in a world where women often feel the need to be loud, to be heard, or hard to be respected, soft pink does something radical. It embraces vulnerability. It doesn't try to overpower. It doesn't need to dominate the room. It just is. It's the color of calmness, of emotional openness, of effortless feminine energy. And here's what most people don't realize. That's incredibly sexy to a man. Soft pink speaks to the part of him that craves connection, the part that doesn't just want spark and attraction, but warmth, emotional intimacy. It awakens the protector instinct, not in a way that implies you're weak, but in a way that reminds him of what's worth cherishing. It taps into a sense of safety and softness that many men deeply desire but rarely talk about. Now let's be clear, wearing soft pink isn't about playing small or acting helpless. Quite the opposite. It's about being in touch with your receptive energy. It's about owning your ability to create space for connection, care, and depth. When you wear soft pink, especially with confidence, you become a blend of two incredibly powerful energies, of approachability and grace. It's the kind of color that makes a man think, she's someone I want to get close to, someone I want to know, someone I don't just desire, I respect. And maybe that's the real secret to this color's power, because soft pink doesn't try to be the life of the party. It just shows up calm and composed in its own light. It draws people in, not with flash, but with feeling. It makes people lean in, slow down, take notice. In terms of style, it can show up in a cashmere sweater, a flowy blouse, a satin slip dress, or even a scarf or lip tint. The point isn't what form it takes, the point is how you feel in it. Because when you wear soft pink and it reflects the part of you that's grounded, emotionally present, and open to real connection, that's when it becomes magnetic. And men don't just notice it, they remember it. Because in a world filled with noise, drama, and performance, the woman who feels comfortable being soft, feminine, and true to herself, she becomes unforgettable. So don't underestimate the quiet power of soft pink. It's not fragile, it's not passive, it's masterfully feminine. And that kind of magnetism never goes out of style. So there you have it. 5 colors that don't just turn heads, they touch something deeper. It's easy to look at attraction like it's all surface, but what we've talked about today goes way beyond the surface. Because what really makes these colors powerful isn't just the hue, it's the energy you wear them with. Red awakens desire. Black commands mystery. White invites intimacy. Emerald green signals self-worth, and soft pink, it whispers connection. But remember, these colors don't create confidence, they reflect it. They're tools. Amplifies beautiful accents to what's already inside you. The real magnetism, that lives in how you carry yourself, in how you own your presence, in how you express who you are, unapologetically, whether you're dressed in the boldest red or the softest blush. So my challenge to you is this: start dressing with intention, not for anyone else's validation, but as a reflection of how you want to feel. Want to feel powerful? Try black. Want to feel radiant and grounded? Slip into emerald green. Want to spark warmth and sweetness? Don't be afraid of soft pink. Make it personal, make it yours. Because when you show up in alignment with who you are and you're not afraid to be seen, that's when people can't take their eyes off you. And men, they don't just notice that, they respect it, they remember it, and they desire it, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and fully. So go to your closet, take a fresh look, Not at what makes you look good, but at what makes you feel irresistible. Because that feeling, that's where attraction truly begins.